Hey guys, I'm back with yet another YouTube video. It's been about a week or so since I last posted, and to be honest, I was trying to rack my brain of, trying to find just one thing to do a review on. Like, I kind of thought about going older fashioned today, so I was just going to do it on the one subject, but this time I'm not. Today, and I think I might actually call this the title as well. So I'm gonna go with medley of comedy programs because like comedy is just fantastic. Like you can laugh to it, which is kind of the point, but also it's there to give you joy. It's like to educate you as well in like a really funny way. But this one is not about the one that we have in these days. So obviously we're in the 21st century era, which means yes, comedy is really good, but the best comedy that could have been done was in the 20th century, particularly between the decades of the 70s and the 90s. So basically that's what I'm just going to base it on today. The comedy of, well, the older days. So basically, over the last probably 9 years or so, I've actually been getting into very older comedies that were like years away, like things that I wouldn't have even watched. But some of them I did watch because they were just on TV one day and I was bored and I watched it, or because my mum got me into it, or just because of my own curiosity, which well, it's how we learn, really. It's how we get into these things. It's basically like just watching a film or something. So, well, comedies of the 70s to the 90s, we've got quite a few of them. We've got Allo Allo, which was set in World War II time, which is set in France, which was really funny. Um, the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, which everyone would know Will Smith from. Uh, Heidi High, holiday camp set in Maplins. Some others do have them, which is what's his name again? Frank Spencer, who is played by Michael Crawford. It Ain't Half Hot Mum, which was also set in World War II, in this kind of um I kind of want to say, well, some parts of it was in the jungle, and then there were other parts in like this like not a camp, but barracks. Could be barracks. That was really funny. And sorry, starring Ronnie Corbett and Porridge, and that was a funny one. That one's set in a prison, and also Dinner Ladies featuring Victoria Wood. Uh so yeah, there is so many comedies out there, and oh god, I even forgot Only Fools and Horses as well. But yeah, there's so many comedies out there that not many people have seen, but they're like really appreciated, and they were fantastic for the comedy. Like not only that though, but they had really good cast members, and it was just really funny at the time. Like through that time, I'm actually quite glad that people had that for entertainment. I mean, obviously they would have had entertainment before, but the stuff that could just make them laugh and surprise everyone with what there was, like with some characters you would even get the same cast members that you would recognize from other shows into the ones that there were, and you were always just pleasantly surprised to see who's in it and how their character develops. So Yeah, I would say my first comedy show from back in the day was well, I think it was actually Heidi High because it was on BBC Two one time, and well, I didn't know what it was about. Like, my mum just told me it was a holiday camp, and they did this entertainment, so I watched it, and it turns out I really liked the episode. Like, it was really funny and completely different to what I'd been watching previously. Um, and yeah, I just really enjoyed it. So I think it was about a couple of weeks later, I actually bought the whole thing on DVD. I realised there was well, I think there was about 9 seasons in total of it, and yeah, I found it really funny, really different to what I was watching, and it was quite entertaining as well. You know, it was good to see a different side of comedy to what I've seen before. Like before then, I was watching like Mrs. Brown's Boys all the time, and Miranda, and Gavin and Stacey. Trying to think of other comedies. Little Britain, because everyone loves a little bit of Britain. They all love that. And Peter Kay as well on YouTube and stuff. But no, when I first watched Heidi High, I was really surprised at how good it was. Like I just thought this is gonna be a little thing that I'm just gonna have a wee little chuckle at. But no, balls of laughter. So I bought the whole season on DVD, and I just really loved it. It was absolutely hilarious. And then I started getting into other stuff like Faulty Towers with John Cleese, and I just became addicted to that. It actually with Faulty Towers, it was a little bit different. I never had it on DVD, and I never watched it. It wasn't until though I was in school, and I actually think I was in my last year of school. We watched a clip of it, and it was the Hotel Inspectors episode with Bernard Cribbins, and I was thinking, "Whoa, Bernard Cribbins is in this. He's really funny." And the scene that we watched was absolutely hilarious. Like, fantastic. I couldn't even fault it. And then that got me hooked. Because you see, with me, or like with anyone, your brain just takes in whatever it sees. So if you think that something's funny, you're gonna want to watch it. If you don't like what you see, you're not going to. Or if you're a little bit unsure, or you probably need convincing, you probably just need to think to yourself, you know what? I'm gonna give this a try. To hell with it. Let's see what it's like and give it a shot. That was basically me. That was me with Faulty Towers. So I actually, well, I ended up getting that for my birthday, and then I watched it, and lo and behold, fell in love with it. In fact, the first few minutes of the first episode was just, well, it was incredible. I mean, John Cleese getting hounded by his wife, and then there was Manuel, the Spanish waiter. Oh, absolutely hilarious. I mean, I don't know how people just so funny. Um, Another comedy series I could probably mention. Well, Hello Hello, for instance, the French program with what was his name again? Gordon Kay. That was his name, Gordon Kay. He played the French restaurateur Rene, or if you're gonna go in the French accent, Rene. And well, the same with that. Actually, it was on BBC one time, and I watched the episode where the two British airmen were dressed as maids, and oh my god, I I did not believe what I was seeing. Like, I was just like, what on earth is this? They are speaking French. The Gestapo is in there, Germans in a French restaurant, and just so much comedy with the characters. Like, it just made me laugh so much. Actually, I got that for my 18th birthday, and it was just the same again. Absolute sheer perfection of comedy. Like, yeah, I couldn't believe it. That's all it is. It's just like the joy of comedy, and I fell in love with it. It ain't half hot, mum. Like, honestly, I stumbled across it on YouTube one day, and well, I didn't really know what to think of it at first. I was kind of like, oh god, it's a war thing, not really the type of thing. So, I just thought to myself one day, you know what? Seen a few episodes on YouTube. They look pretty good so far. It could get better. Turns out, I was right. I took a hunch, went for it, boom. Absolutely brilliant. And the one-liners in it, catchy. Very, very catchy. That's also another thing about comedy. Like with programs and stuff, it's the one-liners. It's really what surprises you. In fact, you can even just like quote something from one of the shows and it's literally stuck with you and it becomes like a running meme or something or like just a gag. And it's absolutely hilarious. I mean, obviously you've got it's like with Faulty Towers, you've got I Am From Barcelona or with Some Mothers Do Have 'Em. We could have Frank Spencer saying, "Oh Betty." Heidi Hi, you've got the catchphrase, Heidi Hi, Hody Ho. Um, or you've got Ain't a Half Hot Mum with Shut Up, or I'll have you in that jungle so fast your feet won't touch the ground. And God, I don't know how his voice didn't break with that. Or with Only Fools and Horses, like everyone knows Del Boy's catchphrase, this time next year we'll be millionaires. And if everyone said that, I think they would probably believe it one day. But no, like, every single comedy show that I have seen, or that I've even watched, like, I've even just bought it on DVD because it has been so brilliant to even watch. Like, personally, I'm glad I got into these stuff because the stuff that we have now is really good, but some of it does not touch on what was done back in the day. I mean, obviously, like, we all know that social media has been a little bit too critical. It's been a little bit too critical with the way that we've obviously watched everything. So some people keep on saying that it's really offensive, it shouldn't have been done. And that's what we usually get with the programs nowadays. Kind of like with Little Britain, that was deemed too offensive, and now it's not on. It's not even on YouTube anymore, or well, it's on YouTube, but like Netflix and stuff, you get it taken off because apparently it's too offensive, and you just like, if you can't get away with the stuff nowadays, then obviously you're gonna think, how could they get away with it back in those days? But that's because comedy works differently. It's all about different generations, as what I'm told all the time. It's all about your different generations. It's how you grew up with it. It's like your ways. But what we grew up with now, the comedy, that's what we grew up with. Like, if you were born in like late 90s or something, you're gonna know about what is now. Like, we've all heard it. We've all heard the stuff from like Little Britain or League of Gentlemen or Gavin Stacey or Outnumbered. my family, we've all heard it. We've all heard the stuff. We may not think it's offensive, but then who knows? Maybe it was, but that's the part of the comedy. It's got to have that little bit of offensiveness in it, because how else are you going to make it work? Like, sometimes social media can go a little bit far with that, but then again, not for us to judge. Anyway, back to the subject of the programs. Let's go with Dinner Ladies. Now that one I actually started watching last year, and the reason for that was, well, it was just mentioned really. I was at my granddad's, and he just happened to mention it of one of the old programs, and I'm like, wait, what's that? And my sister actually recommended it to me, and I watched it on iPlayer, and well, that was funny as well. Like, I was quite surprised about that. And Dinner Ladies was actually late 90s. I think that was actually 1998 to 99, which I was actually born. And I was thinking, wow, there's a lot more stuff here. And I also think Porridge was in the 90s as well. In fact, I think that was actually 1992 or something. Like, I'm not entirely sure of what year Porridge came out, but again, it's another 90s comedy. It was really, really good. Same with Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That one was 1990 to 1996. And, like, also, from previous videos, I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. I collected every single one from the 60s all the way up to the 80s, including the 1996 episode, and obviously got cancelled. But then I keep on thinking, the comedy programs that they have to fill the gaps of what people have been missing is like, whoa. Like, you would want to be around in that time to have the comedy. Like, some of these shows that I have mentioned, they ran for most of the decade that they were in. Like, Only Fools and Horses, that ran for 23 years. And, like, obviously I watched the entire thing. Personally, I liked it. I did like it, but it wasn't for me. And the reason for that being is because the comedy and the jokes, they weren't my generation. Like, that's a completely different generation. Regeneration. Wait, regeneration? No, that's not right. It's a completely different generation. So, yeah, it may not have been my thing, but it would have been for those who grew up with it. Like, we all have our different comedies. We all find it funny, but, like, obviously, at the end of the day, you know what your taste is in comedy. Only Fools and Horses may not have been mine, but I did enjoy what I saw. I just, well, in all honesty, I actually found it difficult to understand the comedy. I laughed at certain bits, but then I'm just thinking, and this is actually where my problem came in with it. I'm chuckling, but I'm not full on laughing. And I knew why that was. Like, truth be told, I was actually told that it was a different generation. I knew that it'd be. Well, I kind of knew what people were going on about. I kind of knew the fact that, yeah, it might not be my thing, because it's a completely different era. But then again, I wanted to watch it to see, not see what the fuss was about, but to see what people were saying about it. I mean, I watched a few episodes on Netflix, and you see, that's the thing. I got to about 2 or 3 episodes of it, and I was just thinking, is this my thing? Is it really what I want to watch? Because I bought it earlier this year to to finally see what it was like. Because I saw some funny parts on YouTube. That's the thing. You miss it by watching certain clips on YouTube, and you find them really funny. But just watching it in full capacity, I couldn't get into it. I couldn't find the comedy as what other people did. Like I didn't understand the jokes because obviously they're very different. But at the end of the day, everyone has their own comedy sense of style, really, if we're going to put it like that. And yeah, I suppose that's the way it is, really. But like, say with Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, it's more. Well, it's late 90s. Early 90s. It's more modern. Yeah, your comedy's really moving out there. It's hilarious. You've got really good characters in it. You've got your cast, so it really brings it all together, and it's quite hilarious, really. um, Also got Sorry with Ronnie Corbett. Same again, YouTube, and I watched it. I thought it was pretty entertaining. I didn't actually realise that there were like 5 series of it or 6. But no, it's just we all know what we enjoy. It's the comedy that makes us laugh, and we're always pleasantly surprised by what we watch, and we're just thinking, why haven't we watched any of these things sooner? Because it's like I said, we've got our comedy now, but we missed out on the really good stuff that there was back from then. Like, it's a good thing that we've actually got these things now to watch, because obviously everything goes on to DVD, but it's really good to see what was created back in the day and what really good cast members actually made. Like, the BBC, basically, it all mostly came from the BBC. They're the reason for the comedy, they're the reason for the cast, and really, you've just got to give them their props for that, because fantastically, they really wanted to entertain people back in the day, and quite frankly, with everything that went on even then, they did a hell of a good job making the comedy. Like, there were other stuff that I'd probably want to try out. Probably Dad's Army. I might want to try that one day, or the League of Gentlemen, if that's further back. I don't know whether that's in this day. Or what else was there? Can't really think on that one. Oh, the two Ronnies. That seemed pretty good and pretty promising. Morecambe and Wise, I think, was one of them. I tried One Foot in the Grave, but I don't know if that's for me. But no, everything that has ever been made has just been really, really impressive, and I've found myself in tears of laughter with what I've watched, because it's just been so fantastic. And honestly, I could recommend half of the stuff because they're so good. And yeah, at the end of the day, comedy is what brings us joy, and I couldn't be happier to be watching the stuff that I am, and hopefully one day I also get to share it out with. If I have kids, then I'll show them what was also shown, because, well, about 30 years ago or 40 years ago, they had it really, really good for comedy. And yeah, I hope that everyone enjoys this video, and if you've liked what you've heard about some of the videos on here, you might want to even watch them yourself. And I hope it's like inspiration. So yeah, I think that is going to be the end of my video today. Hope you like what you see, and if you want to subscribe, please do. So thank you very much, and I'll see you all later.